Rain hammered against the windows, turning the city into a blur of lights and shadows. I hadn't expected anyone tonight. And yet, the envelope lying on the doormat glowed under the flickering hallway lamp like it had been waiting for me. I crouched, hands trembling, heart hammering against my ribs. No return address. No name. Just my initials scrawled in a familiar, jagged hand. A cold dread settled in my stomach. I didn't recognize the handwriting. I shouldn't recognize it. Tearing it open, the words inside made my blood run ice cold. You thought you could escape. You thought you were safe. But the debts of the past don't disappear. We know what you did. The room seemed to shrink. My phone buzzed an unknown number. I froze. The message was short: stop. Or everything you love will burn. Memories I had buried came roaring back years ago, decisions made in desperation, a betrayal I had barely survived, a secret that had haunted me every sleepless night. Someone had been waiting, watching, planning. And now, they were back. The sound of a floorboard creaking above me made me spin. I live alone. No one should be there. And yet, the feeling of being hunted settled around me like a second skin. I had two choices: run, like I had so many times before, or fight. And I hadn't survived this long by running. The city streets blurred past my car windows, rain streaking the glass like angry tears. I couldn't shake the feeling of eyes following me. Every rearview mirror, every shadow in the alleyways screamed danger. Back in my apartment, I spread the letter and phone messages across the table. Whoever sent this knew things only I had ever shared with one person. Secrets I thought had died with the past. A knock on the door shattered the silence. My pulse raced. Nobody knocks this late without a reason, and usually, a dangerous one. I didn't answer immediately. I grabbed the baseball bat hidden under the couch, my fingers tightening around the worn wood. The knock came again. Louder. More insistent. I cracked the door open just enough to peek. Nobody. Just a small package lying on the doorstep. No fingerprints, no markings except my name scrawled in the same jagged script. Inside was a single black mask and a note: "Tonight, you remember. Tonight, you pay." I sank against the doorframe, mind racing. Memories of that fateful night, when betrayal had nearly destroyed me, flooded back. I had sworn I'd never let anyone hold that power over me again. But now, the past had a pulse, and it was stronger than I'd imagined. The first step was clear: find them before they found me. But the question was, who? A former ally? Someone I trusted? Or a ghost from a life I tried to forget? I grabbed my laptop, scanning old contacts, old messages, looking for the smallest thread, anything that could lead me to them. Every name seemed harmless. Until I noticed the pattern: someone had been quietly monitoring my life for months, maybe even years. Then, another message buzzed in, this time an email. The subject line: your move. Opening it, a single image stared back at me: my apartment building, the living room visible through my window, lights on, my silhouette framed against the curtains. Someone had been inside. Watching. Waiting. The air in the apartment turned thick. I couldn't breathe. My instincts screamed for me to leave, to vanish. But deep down, a spark ignited. The same spark that had kept me alive before. The spark that told me I was stronger than fear. I packed a bag with essentials: cash, phone, documents, anything that could be used to leverage my safety. And then I did something I hadn't done in years: I set a trap. I left a fake clue on my computer, pretending to research something mundane. In reality, I rigged my apartment with small cameras and motion sensors. Whoever came for me next wouldn't get the upper hand. By midnight, the city felt alive and hostile. Rain-slick streets reflected neon signs, shadows that seemed to move on their own. Every sound was amplified. Footsteps. Engines. The whisper of the wind. Then I saw it, a figure across the street, hood up, moving with careful precision. Watching. Waiting. Just like me. Tonight, the game begins. And I am no longer prey. The rain had stopped, but the streets smelled of wet asphalt and fear. I crouched behind a dumpster, the cold seeping into my bones, my heart hammering like a drum. The figure had followed me through the city, always keeping just far enough to stay unseen, but close enough to intimidate. A sudden flash of movement, too quick, too deliberate, and I realized I'd been spotted. My mind raced, calculating escape routes. Alleyways, rooftops, subway entrances. Each path had its dangers. But before I could decide, the figure stepped into the dim glow of a streetlight. It was someone I never expected. Someone I trusted. My mentor from my early career, the person who had taught me everything about investigation and survival. Only now, the warmth in their eyes was gone, replaced by cold calculation. "You shouldn't have come back," they said, voice calm, almost gentle, but laced with menace. "You've dug too deep, uncovered too much. And now, you know too much." My mind spun. Questions collided with disbelief. Betrayal had never felt this personal. Why are you doing this?" I whispered, voice trembling, clutching the bat like a lifeline. Their lips curved slightly. "You always thought the city's darkness was out there," they said, stepping closer. "But it's inside us. And you are about to learn the cost of curiosity." Before I could react, a small device whirred to life in my pocket. My motion sensor, rigged hours ago, had detected someone entering my apartment while I was away. And suddenly, multiple feeds appeared on my phone. Not just one figure, dozens. Every window, every hallway, every rooftop near my building was crawling with them. Panic and rage collided in my chest. I had underestimated them. They weren't just after me, they were orchestrating this entire nightmare. Every step I had taken, every decision I had made, had been monitored, manipulated. But something shifted. Fear became clarity. Anger became strategy. I couldn't fight them all physically, but I could outsmart them. And that's when I realized the twist: they wanted me to run. They wanted me scared, cornered, desperate. But I was done being prey. I turned the bat over in my hands, letting the weight ground me. My mentor smirked, clearly noticing the change. "You'll make it easy for us," they said. "Maybe," I whispered. Then I did the unexpected. I tossed a small flash device into the street, igniting a blinding light and deafening sound. Screams of confusion erupted as shadows scattered. I ran, not blindly, but along the path I had secretly scouted days before, a route they never expected. By the time I reached the rooftop overlooking the city, they were gone, or so I thought. My phone buzzed again. A single message, no sender name, no return address, not done. "We'll be watching. Always." I looked out over the city lights, rain still glinting on the asphalt below. My heart pounded not just with fear, but with a burning need. They had started this game. But I would finish it. On my terms. Tonight was only the beginning. And I would not lose. The city slept, or at least pretended to. But I couldn't. Every shadow, every flicker of movement kept me on edge. The message from last night burned in my mind: "Not done. We'll be watching. Always." I moved silently through my apartment, checking every lock, every camera, every sensor I had installed in preparation. Yet the feeling of being hunted clung to me like wet clothes. My instincts screamed that this was bigger than I imagined. Bigger than one mentor turned adversary. At dawn, I left my apartment disguised as someone blending into the crowd. Every step was calculated. Every glance over my shoulder confirmed what I feared: someone was trailing me. Not close enough to confront, not yet, but close enough to unsettle me. I ducked into a cafe, hoping the mundane chatter and steam from coffee machines would mask my anxiety. But my eyes caught a familiar figure at the corner table, face hidden under a baseball cap, eyes sharp and calculating. My heart jumped. They weren't alone. Behind them, through the cafe's reflection in the glass, I glimpsed two more, silent, waiting. My mind raced. Any wrong move, and they could corner me. But panic wasn't an option. I had learned too much, trained too long, to falter now. I ordered coffee with deliberate slowness, buying time, while scanning every exit and planning my route. Then, a soft chime from my phone. Another message. Short. Direct. Midnight. Warehouse on Pier 9. Come alone. No signature, no hint of friendly intent. Only a trap dressed in promise. My pulse quickened. This was it, the point where fear collided with opportunity. I could call the authorities, hide indefinitely, or confront them and take back control. By nightfall, I found myself on the pier, the air thick with fog, salt, and the scent of decay. Shadows stretched long across the cracked concrete, and the distant hum of a ship's engine vibrated beneath my feet. Every instinct screamed danger. Then I saw them. Standing in a semicircle, masked in darkness, their movements precise, rehearsed. My mentor stepped forward, eyes glinting like knives under the dim pier lights. "You've learned," they said. "But learning won't save you. Not tonight." I held my ground, refusing to show fear. "You underestimate me," I said. "I've survived worse than your games." A tense silence followed, broken only by the lapping waves against the pilings. Then, as if rehearsed in some sinister choreography, one of the figures lunged. I sidestepped, my body moving on instinct, the adrenaline sharpening my mind. I wasn't just reacting, I was controlling the fight, turning their aggression against them. Chaos erupted. Shadows collided, metal scraped against concrete, and the fog swallowed our movements. Each move I made was precise, calculated, born of months of preparation. I wasn't merely surviving, I was taking charge. Then, the final twist, my phone buzzed again. Another message. But this time, from an unknown number. "Check your apartment. Now." My heart skipped. They had anticipated my plans. Everything had been a setup, not just for tonight, but for weeks. I realized the true danger wasn't just the figures in front of me, it was that they controlled my world, my life, even when I thought I was safe. And yet, in that realization, something shifted. Fear became clarity. Betrayal became fuel. Every lesson, every strategy one had learned, every painstaking step I had taken to reclaim my life, had led to this moment. Tonight, the hunter becomes the hunted. I sprinted, ducking into the shadows, each step a calculated gamble. The city was my maze, my ally, and my weapon. They thought they had the upper hand. But I had the truth, the knowledge of their methods, their patterns, their arrogance. The climax was building. The final confrontation was near. And when it came, nothing would be left standing in my path. Not fear. Not them. Not the lies that had controlled my life for too long. The warehouse loomed like a cathedral of steel and shadow, its broken windows reflecting the pale moonlight. Every creak of the metal roof echoed in my chest. My breathing was steady, but my mind raced. Every scenario, every contingency, every move I had practiced for weeks flashed before me. They were waiting. Not hidden this time. 3 silhouettes stepped into the dim light, masks gone, faces revealed. Familiar faces. Betrayal carved into their expressions. My mentor, once a guiding hand, now a predator. 2 others, disciples of manipulation, eager to see me falter. "You shouldn't have come alone," my mentor said, voice low, venomous. "You've learned." "Yes, but not enough." I didn't respond. Words would be weakness. Instead, I took a step forward, letting the moonlight hit my face. Fear had no place here. Only control. Suddenly, one lunged, fast as lightning. I sidestepped, grabbing a nearby chain, swinging it with precision. The second tried to flank me, but I anticipated the move, spinning to meet them with a force they didn't expect. Metal collided with metal. Bodies twisted, shadows shifted. Pain hit me, a sharp strike to my shoulder, but I pushed through, adrenaline transforming it into focus. This wasn't just a fight for survival. This was reclamation. Every betrayal, every manipulation, every hidden attack over the past months fueled me. I moved not with panic, but with purpose. Then my mentor advanced, eyes narrowing. "Do you really think you're free?" "I am," I said, voice calm, ice cutting through the tension. "Because I choose myself. Not you. Not them. Me." The words hung in the air, heavier than any weapon. In that instant, everything shifted. They hesitated, their confidence cracking, the power they thought they held slipping like sand through their fingers. I lunged, closing the distance, and with a precision born of countless hours of training, disarmed my mentor, twisting the chain to pin them against a beam. The other two attempted a retreat, but not fast enough. I had anticipated this. One tripped over debris. The other froze, realizing the hunt had turned. "You taught me to fight," I said, looking my mentor in the eyes, "but you never taught me to fear myself. I learned that alone." A final, sharp twist of the chain sent them sprawling. Silence fell, thick and absolute, broken only by the distant foghorn outside. The warehouse, once a cage of terror, became a monument to my reclamation. My phone buzzed, notifications flooding in. Messages from friends, colleagues, even strangers who had followed my journey. But I ignored them. The real victory was not in validation, but in standing unshaken. Free. Unbound. I took a deep breath, the weight of every manipulation, every betrayal lifting from my shoulders. Freedom tasted sharp and sweet. The shadows around me no longer threatened, they receded, leaving only the clarity of my own strength. Tonight, I had faced the darkness of control and come out not just alive, but triumphant. And as I stepped out into the moonlit street, the city stretched before me like a promise. I was no longer the hunted. I was the author of my own story. Moonlight reflected off the wet streets as I walked away from the warehouse, every step echoing with the rhythm of my own heartbeat. The city stretched before me, familiar, dangerous, alive, but now it felt different. Mine. Messages buzzed on my phone, notifications piling up like reminders of a world that had kept turning while I fought to reclaim mine. Friends, strangers, allies, I ignored them all. Tonight wasn't about validation. It was about control, about standing tall in a world that had tried to make me small. A soft breeze whispered through the alleyways, carrying the faint echo of footsteps that weren't mine. I paused, senses sharp, and smiled. Let them come. The hunted had become the hunter. The envelope, the messages, the lies, the betrayals, they had shaped me, but they no longer ruled me. Every shadow in the city, every flicker of light, every echo of the past was now part of my game. I glanced back once, the warehouse a silhouette behind me, and whispered to myself, "This city belongs to no one, except me." And somewhere, in the darkness, I knew the game wasn't over. It would never be. But now, for the first time, I was ready. The streets were mine. The night was mine. And I would write my own ending.